Okay, so what I want to go through is Houzz Pro and the project experience inside Houzz Pro. And for those of you who are watching this recording and are using Ivy, this is important to go through so you guys could see all the new features we have available here. So I'm currently in a project. You'll notice that, of course, there's a drop down here. I can get to all my projects, my recent projects. If I wanted to look at all my proposals or invoices, I could do it from here and then see a running list of everything. We have amazing financial reports that I'll go through a little bit later. And of course, we have our product library and your services library. And we also have something called proposal templates, which allows you to create templates that you could use across different projects, which is just a great way to save time, especially if you're doing projects that are similar in nature. So I have selected a project here. It's my living room project. And you'll see that we have, again, for those of you watching this, most of the same features that we have in Ivy, with actually a few additional features that are big features that our designers were asking for years. So this is your overview screen. You can get high-level information on your project. If you scroll down here underneath messages, you will see our task box, where you can actually create tasks and assign them to people across your team, allowing you to set a due date for them, set whether they're open or done, and of course, assign team members and invite any new team members you want to in here as well. Once you set a due date, by the way, you can also share this on your timeline, and we'll go into the timeline a little bit later just to discuss what that is. But tasks are a great way to manage your team inside a project, and we also have a full task center. Again, I'm showing this because it's a little bit hidden today, where you could see all tasks across all projects and then actually filter out to specific people who are assigned, whether that's a client or a team member, filter for specific projects that you're looking at, or filter by due dates. So again, tasks are just a great way to get everything done. But let me hop back over into the project. And beyond tasks on this overview, you will also have access to all the different items that you have running in your project. What's new here is the messages, so that now you can actually send a message to your client directly from inside Houzz Pro that shows up on the client dashboard, which you can actually share with your client right here in the preview client dashboard. And I will show you that client dashboard in a bit and exactly how your client can use that and how that can save you a ton of time from having to keep them updated. So here I could just send an email or a message to my client. They either get that in email, I can send it directly as a text message if that works better for your clients. I know there's some people who will never respond to emails. I did the same to my designer recently, where she had to text me that she sent me an email, so apologies. But that's what us clients do, unfortunately. But of course, everything also gets funneled into that client dashboard. The latest feature that we released just 2 weeks ago into this version is Room Planner. And for those of you who are on Ivy, this is known as Room Boards on Ivy. And Room Planner is just a great way to do your planning, your ideation, communicate with your client and your internal team members on items, and go from there into the whole proposal, invoicing, project, purchase order situation. And let me actually go into one of the room plans I have here. We can hop into my living room. And when I clip products or when I add products into my proposals and assign them a room, they can be added into this room. So this is my living room, and I can see all the different items. Let me actually remove this for a second. There we go. I can, let me remove everything and start this from scratch. There we go. So I could actually add things into this room plan. How do I add things into a room plan? I can either select project items, so items that are already basically tagged with this living room. Let's say this ottoman and this leather basket that I have here. I can clip products using the product clipper and link it already into a project in a room and then access it from here as well. I can see items that are not specifically in this room that may be in a different room in a project, or I can go directly into my project library, or my product library, I should say, and see any item that I've ever clipped and add it directly in here. That adds a product both into the room itself and into the project, so I could later propose that out to my client, send out an invoice, or do whatever I need to do. What's great about this is that I could also create a mood board and attach it directly in here. You could use a mood board that you've already created. You could create a mood board from scratch. I do not have the mood boarding creation skills, so you're not going to see anything fancy from me. But I'm sure you guys know that better. But I could go ahead and take items again that are in my library, in my product list, and add them to this mood board, or go directly into the marketplace here and find the products that you'd like. So I'm just gonna stick to what I have here in my product list. I added the sofa. Let me add this. And this is a very standard mood board. We have all the basic functionality here. And of course, you could rotate and change the perspective on whatever you'd like to. We also have a great feature here, which is the color swatch. We actually integrate with Benjamin Moore and Sherwin-Williams. So if you know your specific color that you are using for these rooms, or you want to give some options to your client, you can go ahead and do that. I'm just going to grab my first one here and just add the swatch. And of course, you could add multiple swatches. This gives us a little bit of a nice information that you're giving to your client. Once I'm done, I'm just going to close this out. Nope. Let me hit save 1 second. Save. There we go. And now I can close you out. Sure. A demo. Nothing ever works properly. Oh, and here we go. Perfect. It works perfectly. And here is my mood board directly into this room plan. And again, that means that I can bring everything together. Any images that I have, any ideas, any files, you have your contract that you want to share here with your client, and either talk directly to my client once I share this with them, or with my team members. So if there's anybody in your team that you want to consult on something on, you need to assign somebody to something, the comments here is a great place to do it. So I could just tag somebody on my team. Please make sure to update this with the right color swatch. And delegation is a great way to make sure you're getting everything done. So this is specifically with my team member. And of course I have client facing. You can see the clients can't see comments because they don't have access yet. So how do I give them access to this? I'm just going to click on preview and share. I can choose what to show them, if I'm showing them pricing, if I'm showing them the budget, any of the item details or not, and whether or not I want them to be able to approve things. I'm just going to click on share here, and let me copy this link. And I'll also share this. Perfect. Now let me just quickly hop into what the client would see. So you would send this email to the client, you would copy the link and send it via SMS, via text message, whatever is easier. But this is a client view. So the client can see all the items that I'm showing here. They could make their comments like this a lot. And then of course they can approve or decline. So let me go ahead as a client and approve this. And because I'm showing them the budget, once they approve a line item, they can actually see that being added into the budget. Again, the budget is optional for clients. It should sometimes be used only for you to make sure that you're staying within that budget range. And sometimes your client doesn't need this information necessarily. But we are very flexible with what we're showing here. So I went ahead and approved what I could. And as a client, I can go back into my full dashboard, which is what I wanted to show you guys before. And the client can now see all the room plans that are shared, all the messages that you've sent them. They have access into any of the proposals or the invoices that you've sent them in the past. And of course, they can go in here and make their payments, assuming you allow online payments, or see whatever information they need to. We'll go through a full proposal in a second and all the different features that are available for clients. But just again, just to quickly show you how your client sees a document and how they can actually see everything in one great dashboard. So hopping back into our room plan, I'm just going to hit a quick little refresh here. And we'll see all the updates that the client did. So you can see a little indication that there's a message. I can see that message from that client directly from here. Wonderful. And of course, I could see everything here that was approved. I can see everything here that was approved. And from here, I can go ahead and do my next step. And my next step is converting this into a proposal. So I'm just going to click convert. I can choose proposal or invoice, depending what I want to convert this into. Select the items and click on convert. So again, I went through that initial ideation phase with my client. There was some back and forth, or there wasn't. And now I'm ready to send this as an official proposal. You'll see all the information here, and I could set my markup, which, by the way, you could have done on the previous page as well. So we actually allow you to set a default value. So let's say you default to 30% markup. Saves you lots of time to do that quickly. If you're not using a default markup, we do have a markup calculator that allows you to determine your markup either by the client price per unit. So let's say I want my client to pay $80 per unit for this, and it will figure out that markup for me automatically. Or of course, if you're using a standard markup with your client of 20%, for example, you can just put that in there. So really easy to make sure that you're making the profits that you need to make, just like we always did on Ivy as well. And this is not shown to the client unless you want it to be shown to the client. Other information that we have here, color, dimension, shipping costs, shipping markup, and so on. And of course, you can also choose exactly what fields to show and hide. If there are certain fields that you don't need, if there are custom fields, like let's say the URL to purchase, that you do want to add in there, fully configurable with the ability to add new columns. This is a completely new feature set that we didn't have back in the Ivy days. Okay, other great things that we have here is the ability to group items in a proposal by category or by room. So in this case, all my items are from the living room, so they're just going to show up under living room. But if I were to add additional items, let's take some items here that are perhaps not in the living room. Perfect. So this item was just added in. We could see that it's part of the powder room. So now things are being separated by room. Again, a great way to show that top level cost per room to your client on that proposal. And of course, we have other grouping options such as category. So in this case, things will fall into furniture, lighting. And if I don't have a category name, I can easily change that. So this is accessories. So again, very flexible, very easy. And you can see that I can update anything in line here. So if I wanted to update the name of the item, I could just click in, add a description, just click in and go for it. I don't like the names of the fields. Go ahead and just click in and update that to whatever you want it to be, making this completely customizable and your true proposal. Yes, and of course, up here at the top, you can update your logo and you can add any additional information you need to for your company, custom invoice numbers, proposal numbers, whatever that happens to be. And proposal names, which by the way, we didn't have before. Okay, a couple of other items here are scheduled payments. So whether you're on an estimate or on an invoice, you can create your scheduled multiple payments or request a deposit. So because this is a proposal, I'm going to request a deposit of 25% upfront. Okay. And then I can set my payment terms. So let's say I need the deposit on receipt and just click create. And I can see that added here. I can also add additional payment schedules into this. So let's say I want the rest of the payment to be split in half. The first one is net 15, net 30. And then once I send this to the client, they'll be able to see exactly what the payment schedule is. And of course, make that initial deposit payment. Any files you need to upload to share to your client, you can do that. And we have both terms and conditions and memos. And the terms and conditions is a great place to put in your contract and refresh that to your client every time they go into the document. Remind them of things like returns, which you do not support, I hope, especially in these very difficult times, and anything else that you want to bring in. Anything that you put in terms and conditions, you can actually save as a template, making it really easy to just reuse things over and over again per project. You can see that when I create a template, I could put in a title, just so it's easy for me to find my template. And then you can insert different tokens here. So if you want to make something very standard so that you're always addressing in your terms and conditions your client's first name, as discussed in our call, please see the proposal above. And then I can put in contact us at, and then I'm just going to put in the company phone number for any questions. So now each time I use this template, you can see that it's going to fill in the client's first name, of course, my company phone number. So tokens make it really easy for you to create these templates and use them across your different projects. We have the same thing for memo. Sometimes you don't need a memo and a terms and conditions. Sometimes you need them both. So we're very flexible here. And of course, you can drag and drop to change the order of anything. By the way, we have a few of our designers who are using the memo as a scope of work. Again, really easy to change that title so that your client knows exactly what you're showing them scope of. All right, and last thing here is e-signatures. So you have the ability to collect an e-signature from your client, making sure that they have approved and signed on that proposal that you've sent to them, so that you can continue on to your project feeling good that everything is signed and sealed. So you can turn that electronic signature on or off depending on what you need. And of course, you could set up your own signature. You can show it as text or as written, writing it in yourself, by the way. Making it very easy to customize everything, and you can put in your name as the head designer, and the client can put in their name and of course their signature when this is sent to them. So again, very easy to customize and very easy to set up. Okay, what I'm going to do is go ahead and share this with my client. And again, same thing as before, you can see that I could customize this. In this case, for some reason, I'm showing markup. So let us remove that. We do not want them to see markup. I could show them detailed pricing, meaning pricing per line item, or I can get rid of that and just do it at the top level categories. Again, this is great if you're doing this per room and you just want to show them how much total cost you have per individual room or per category. I could show category pricing or not. Some of our designers really just like to show the total price. So again, very flexible with how you are actually showing this out to your client. And of course, whether or not you want them to approve each individual line item or collect an e-signature. Now, approval per line item is valuable if you're not going through that room planning phase where they can already approve things individually. If you're using proposals separately completely from room plans, and I do recommend doing approval per line item just to keep your own sanity and that you're ensuring that your client is really approving everything and you can continue forward. All right, so I'm going to click share. Again, I'm just going to copy this and let's open that in my incognito. And perfect. So this is what my client sees. Again, I only showed them top level pricing here for the category levels. They could see everything. They can sign this once they're done and go ahead and approve it. So I already put that signature in, I can approve it, and they can also send you a message from here as well. So anything that they want to let you know of, I just approved this. Very exciting. And then heading back into here, and Shoshana, stop me if I forget things, yes?
I think the only thing maybe is to remind everyone that it saves automatically.
Yes,
so
that is very important. So we do have automatic save of everything that you're doing here, meaning you're not losing any data. If your proposals are very long, it's fine. There isn't an actual save that you have to click. Some of our designers know the heartache of losing a very long proposal in Ivy. So it does not happen any longer.
And Helena, correct me if I'm wrong, but we have to add the deposit request before sending it for approval, right?
Correct, but there is a way to actually undo this. So if you sent this out and your client approved, but you didn't set up your deposit yet, you can easily go ahead and just reopen this for editing, basically. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And now I can go ahead and go in and make any updates I want into the payments area. We have heard from some of our designers that they prefer to be able to edit the payment section even when something is approved, and we hear you, and we are working on making that editable always. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and reapprove this. By the way, you can see that message from the client at the top. So I just approved this, very exciting. I can view this message and I can mark it as resolved as well. Soon we'll have two-way chat here. So the client will be able to write a message to you. You'll be able to respond. and it's all going to be in context of the work. So that is also in the works right now. So once my estimate here, my proposal here has been approved, I could go ahead and start invoicing out to my client, or of course log payment if I've gotten that deposit payment for them. So as I said before, if you have online payments turned on, your clients can pay you through the system. If they're paying you by check or any other way, you can just go ahead and log that payment here. So we have different options, and of course you can create your own option if you're collecting from Venmo, Zelle, or PayPal, however it is that you're actually processing your payment. So let's assume I got this paid through PayPal. I can put in a reference number. You can send out a receipt to your client automatically as well. And I'm just going to click on done. So now that money has been logged. And I could go ahead and start invoicing this out or sending out a purchase order if that's your next step. So at Houzz, we allow you to progressively invoice, meaning you can start invoicing as you're ready to go. So I'm going to start with my furniture. Because I have things in categories, I could just click at the grouping here at the top, and I'm selecting everything under that category, and I can go ahead and click on create invoice. If, by the way, I wanted to create a purchase order, you have the ability, let me do it up here, sorry. I have the ability to create a purchase order or create an invoice. So create a purchase order, again, will just allow me to choose the vendor and click on create purchase order. And then it goes and creates your multiple purchase orders for you, which we will go through a little bit later. For now, what I wanted to do is actually go ahead and create that invoice. So what I'm seeing here, because a payment has been made, I can see the total payment that has been made on this proposal and that it hasn't been applied anywhere yet. And in fact, I can actually take this money and transfer it over into the invoice to log that payment. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. It's also telling me that there's scheduled payments that would be deleted. In this case, it's none of them, so never mind. And let me move over into creating that invoice. So that's it. My items are now on an invoice. I could see that I have the payment here that was logged, that $1,077 that they paid as a deposit, that's transferred over here, is logged as a payment, and I just have the remaining amount of $2,413 that has been added here. And now I can actually split this up. So if I wanted to say get 20% by a certain date, I could just put that in there. And then I would add an additional scheduled payment for the remaining percentage. In this case, it's 49%. And of course, change my terms, my due date, etc. So very flexible and very easy to set this up. And of course, you can change these payments names. Disregard that it says payment 2 or 3. But we could say payment for Ottoman. Okay. And that's it. An invoice is very similar to how we just looked through a proposal. Of course, I could see the linked documents. We have all the different features here available that we saw in the proposal itself. And of course, the activity stream on the bottom in the proposal, in the invoice, consistently shows me exactly when something was created, when it was sent, when the client opened it, when payment was made, and so on and so forth. So you are totally have visibility and transparency into what's going on. Okay.
Elena,
Can you dive into the issue invoice feature, since that's
yes, thank
a little
you.
bit of a
Thank you.
difference
Thank you.
between the two platforms?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's go into this invoice. Perfect. So once an invoice has been created and shared out to your client, that does not mean that the invoice is issued. And in fact, what you can do in Houzz, which is different than what we had in Ivy. Let me just go back into that 1 second. There we go. You have to go ahead and click on issue invoice when you're ready. Now, the reason we did it this way is because once an invoice is issued, you should not be making changes to it anymore. It's already processed, the client already has it. These things are now going to be logged inside QuickBooks or QuickBooks in your case always. So issuing an invoice kind of locks it down and ensures that you can no longer edit these items. Issuing an invoice is a manual process. We won't issue anything for you, but it is very important that invoices are issued in order for them to sync into QuickBooks. Okay. Once
I have
an
a
invoice,
question.
yeah.
You probably were getting to this. Just so for instance, if I'm just issuing an invoice for just straight up design fees,
Mhm.
you know, I would preview and share the invoice with my client and then they can make payment, obviously, but do I also need to like issue, you know, properly issue the invoice? Because I have not been
You
doing
do.
that. Okay.
You do need to properly issue the invoice,
Okay.
yeah.
Not just share it with
Okay.
them. Okay.
Not just share. Correct.
So Corey, once you have like the finalized version of the invoice is when you would go in and press issue, and then that will, you know, essentially lock it and, you know, kind of confirm that it's a finalized invoice. And Helena, there's no way to undo that, right? It's pretty locked.
Right now it's locked down. We are going to add a reopen issued invoices action like we do for estimates. But what you can do for now is we have a void and duplicate option, so that you're actually voiding the original invoice. Let's say that now you have to process a return, or a vendor just came back to you and they're like, oh, this is by the way, not in stock as we had promised. So you could just do a void and duplicate, out of stock item, and then it's literally duplicating over everything you have in that original invoice into a new one, where you can now make changes. Everything is automatically synced back into QuickBooks as well. So we do void that original invoice in QuickBooks, and then we sync this one back in place once it's issued. So let me go ahead and say that these two line items are no longer relevant. So my invoice is now updated, and I can go ahead and issue it once I'm ready. Okay. Anything else here, Brad, that you think I should go into?
I think the purchase order functionality is pretty much the same as Ivy, right?
Correct. Yes. Itai, anything there that you think I should go through in purchase orders?
No, I
pretty
mean,
much
the
the
only
same.
thing that we've added when talking about syncing the purchase orders to QuickBooks is that now you no longer need to mark the purchase order as billed. You can just share it with the client, and that will trigger the sync.
It's a vendor, but yeah.
And also, if the Pro has QuickBooks Online Plus or a higher version, even if their purchase order is turned off, and they create a bill and bill payment, it will sync over.
Perfect.
Something else, Helena, that you might want to share is the ability to save a proposal as a template.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. So let's go back into my proposal here. And let's assume that you have a proposal, like a standard proposal for design fees. Let's say you have packages. So you can create these packages of design fees and save that as a template. So you never have to build another proposal or another invoice for this again. All you have to do is go into more actions and you have save as templates. It's literally that easy. And then you can decide what you're saving in that template. It's only the items. You want to say that payment schedule as well. Again, if you're doing a package for design time, that could really save you a lot of time to do the payments. Any files, your terms and conditions, or your memo can also be saved. So once I have that done, I can, anytime I go to create a new proposal or a new invoice, by the way, they work for everything. I'm just going to go ahead and choose from template in that dropdown. And I can choose that template that I just created. And literally in less than 20 seconds, you are creating a brand new proposal with that package that you're selling, or with the breakdown, skeleton breakdown of what you have for that given room or area. You can always add multiple templates, by the way, simply by, oh no, this is not here. Never mind, no. So just the way that I said, sorry. I was thinking of build for a second, Shoshana.
No worries. And then you can show the global search also.
Oh yeah, so global search was a huge request. So we added the ability to search globally. I could of course put in estimate numbers here or invoice numbers and search across everything. So we also return results for 3D floor plans, any of the payments that you have, and of course, in this case, what I was actually searching for was the specific proposal, and here it is. So global search is a great way to go through everything and find what you need. And then I'm just going to
quickly, Helena, can we touch on the QuickBooks integration status? I don't know if you have
absolutely.
that.
So I don't, but I'm going to now hand it over to Itai, who will go through what happens after an invoice or proposal syncs into QuickBooks.
Okay, so let me just share my screen for a second. Okay, so jumping back to QuickBooks. So as we said, once we've established our connection with QuickBooks, every document that can be synced over will now show this little indicator right under the document details. Of course, that's not something that the client will see, not when you're sharing and not on the client dashboard. And what we've done here is similar to all the QuickBooks integration in Ivy. So basically, depending on the status of the document, the sync indicator will tell you, for this instance, for purchase order, that it will be synced to QuickBooks once it's either shared or marked as billed. We can see it for proposals as well. Proposal will be synced to QuickBooks once they are approved. And for invoices, as we talked on before, once you issue the invoice, it will be synced to QuickBooks. So we can see it here. When we create a new document, of course, the initial document status will be draft. So this little indicator will tell us that the invoice will be synced over once issued. I can go ahead and add an item and quickly just mark this invoice is issued. Once we'll do that, we'll see that the indicator is saying that the sync is in progress, and now we can see it's done and the document has been synced over to QuickBooks. Of course, if we'll go back to QuickBooks, we can find the document just by the document number. So this one is show right here. And yeah, we have the document number, we have the customer name, and we'll see, like, we'll edit this invoice. We'll be able to see the different line items that we've added. For this one, just a single line item. Yeah, right here. Also, markups will now show as a separate line item. So we saw we had some inconsistencies with different markups, sometimes happening due to the multiplication done on the quantity. So now they will show a separate line item pointing at the original item they came from. And yeah, if you'll have any kind of syncing issues, it will also be presented here, with a link taking you to the status page showing the exact sync issue and how to resolve it. Another thing that we've just added, again, we had many requests for that, is the vendor mapping. So Brad, I know you asked for that as well. Basically, what vendor mapping allows you is to map the vendors that you have already configured in Houzz Pro and just match them with the existing vendors that you may have on QuickBooks. So if I'll go to expenses and vendors, I can see I have one called WF, and I might want to map it to Wayfair. So I can just go ahead. Here on the right side, it will show me all the vendors I have in QuickBooks. I can just add it here. I can go ahead and save. And if I want, I can add multiple, mapping and just have everything collected into one place in QuickBooks instead of creating multiple vendors that you might already have.
Super useful.
Yeah. Another thing that currently we're working on, but I guess we're gonna have it in the upcoming weeks, basically an entire view on this page to show you your entire sync history. So we're going to add all the past sync documents, and you'll be able to see every document that got synced to QuickBooks, the exact date of syncing, and a direct link to that document on QuickBooks, so you won't need to go and find the different documents that have been synced there. Anything else regarding QuickBooks?
I think that was most of it as far as yeah, going over kind of the differences between the two platforms.
Helena, maybe do you want to go over the new reports?
Yes. Do you want to show that really quick? If you have an account with reports, that would be fantastic.
Sure of this one. Let's see.
Perfect. So unlike the reports in Ivy, the reports here in Houzz Pro actually are viewable in the screen and have a ton more information. So we have our payments report, which we've recently just added a few much requested fields in, and we will continue doing some work there to allow you to automatically group your payments. We also have the tax liability report and our transaction report. So let's take a look at the incoming transaction report, for example. So you could see that you could actually filter out this transaction report by the issue date of your invoice, whether you're looking at projects or leads. If you click on the type dropdown, we could see the different types of transaction documents that you have here. So invoice, proposal, or retainer. If you want to run this report for a specific subset or clients or all your clients, and how you want to group this by. So we have in the groupings here the ability to group this by a date, by a week, by the transaction type, by specific project, or by client, making it really easy to see all the transactions you have, either for any given year, month, time frame, or any project or client. We also have a running total at the top of a couple of key items, and of course on the bottom you could see the totals as well. Showing you everything for your balance, the total payments that you have, total proposed, and so on and so forth. All our reports are exportable via Excel, and of course you can update any of these filters and run this report whenever needed. The export will send this to you via email. We'll download. I don't even remember. Can you click on Export Excel really quick, Itai? Perfect. So it downloads that for you. And includes all the information that you need and that you might need to hand over to Brad as well.
And then the outgoing transactions is really just the proposals, correct?
The outgoing transaction reports, can you go back to reports for a second?
Yeah.
Perfect. So it's all the outgoing transactions that you have. So basically anything for the purchase orders. So billed or unbilled purchase orders show up here. Okay. Right. We also have a plethora of other features that I'm not even going to go into here, but the project tracker has been updated with much easier way to filter through and view that project tracker. Corey, you missed a very crazy project tracker in Ivy days that was less helpful than it is today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's great. No, I have one question just before, and I don't know if this has been, if this is something like that, I just don't know. So when you're setting up the payment terms for a client, like for instance, like a net 15, once that time has lapsed, I mean, often my clients, there's like one or two scenarios where, you know, they don't pay within those payment terms. Is there an automatic trigger that Houzz will send them a reminder email, or do I have to manually do that? Because I'm not getting a copy of it in my email. So I'm always like hesitant to send them, you know, like so many emails.
Right.
Yeah.
So right now we're not sending that automatically, but really soon we will have an automation feature that's going to be released on your account that will allow you to determine exactly when you're sending that reminder email, and that automatically goes out to your client. So you can remind them, let's say a day before it's due or a day after it's due, or both if you really wanted to. And then you would, of course, get that in your inbox as well. So that's coming very soon.
Okay, awesome. Thanks.
Of course. Okay.
Awesome.
I think that's it. I think we went over the main things. I will say that that the Houzz Pro version is constantly being updated. We are very much looking for your feedback and your thoughts on everything. Any updates that you'd like, any product requests or things that you need to understand, please feel free to contact us. And we will happily answer any of your questions and, of course, take in those product requests and make sure to adjust. We work relatively quickly here. If you guys know us from Ivy, back in the day, we used to update things all the time. We're doing that now with Houzz Pro as well. And we brought in all those features that you wanted and asked for into this new version. So it's a very curated one. It's one that we've been working on for a very long time. And I know that you will find it useful and helpful for your business.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much, Helena, for doing this walkthrough. I know this will be super helpful for a lot of people, especially as they're just trying to, navigate the new version and kind of figure out where things are and kind of where to click, getting the new muscle memory.
Yes, new muscle memory is hard, and we totally understand that, and that's why we are here for you. It's not always easy making switches, but I promise you, it's worth it.